I actually, prepping for the keynote, I crowdsource just about everything when I'm doing this. Prepping for a keynote, titled this, and I got tons of stuff. If you look for this tweet, if you look for me on Facebook, if you want to check me out there, there's tons of stuff. People are still happy about the web. They see wonderful things every day. We maybe don't talk about these things, but we must talk about these things. It was really great to see that list. So I'll talk about a few things that I think do still matter. Number one, openness still matters. I started my career, or my academic career, researching open networks, open source networks, and really looking at how we can look at the methodologies of open source and how we can move those into teacher networks. And a lot of that's been enabled through the personal learning networks, personal learning environments, and so on. I think copyleft matters out of this. This idea that, and if you haven't watched this video, it's worthwhile. It's a documentary about a musician. It's called RIP, a Remixed Manifesto. It's a few years old now, but it really shows you the complexities of dealing with copyright. Another one that I would certainly suggest, it's older now. It's not wrong to go back to old TED Talks here and there. Laws that choke creativity. Larry Lessig from Stanford talks great about, in really, really thoughtful ways in terms of the future of copyright and why we must be copyleft. People are using the Creative Commons to a greater extent than ever before, but we need to tell more people about this. People are also giving up their work in a copyleft way. There are tons of resources. The OER Commons, for instance, OpenStax, which used to be Connections. And of course, I'll share these slides with everyone afterwards. In my country, in Canada, we have, in British Columbia, and there's a number of other provincial initiatives where government's funding open textbook projects. So to reduce costs to students, they're developing textbooks. Professors are spending their time. They're getting paid to do this, but at least it's not having to buy the professor's textbook or that particular practice. Participation matters in a big way, and I've been a really big fan of people like Zay Frank. Zay Frank was the person that I really learned how to engage people on the internet. One of the reasons I originally did MOOCs and other examples of trying to engage and get people to do things online. He did some really interesting projects back in the day. Back in 2006, he was the first vlogger. Every vlogger after that has been influenced by Zay Frank, if you don't know who that person is. He put out projects like this, like the Young Me, Now Me project, which I think was fantastic. Just getting people to show themselves in a different light, just to take a photo from themselves and then do it again in a later time. And there were some really interesting ones that came up, a couple that actually met much later in life, brothers. You won't get me and George doing this, but there's brothers. But even this one, this project forced me to actually think of, for the first time in years, I looked at the family photo. I didn't realize we hadn't had a full family photo for like 40 years. So I looked at this photograph and I thought, let's recreate it, and we did, which is kind of funny because if you look at this photograph, look at my little brother's, George's finger. Right, what was he doing, right? And you'll notice some growth here, right? But it's really interesting that we didn't even notice the details. It was one of those things that got us off our couches to get a photograph. It's not perfect, but it was kind of fun. Open learning matters. YouTube, of course, is one of those spaces that I love to see people learn and perform. One of my favorites, I met a kid in Brampton, Ontario, 5-year-old Jordan, and he writes hip-hop songs.
I'm going to show you how to write a hip-hop song in 30 seconds, and the first thing you're going to need is a beat. Now I'm going to need piano. Now I'm going to need strings. Now you're going to need bass. Now you need to rap about your problem. I wanted a cookie, but Mom wants to know. So I took it anyway, so that's how it goes. Now deal with it. Just deal with it. Got grounded for a week, candy cake. Now I got street cred, more than Drake. Now deal with it. Just deal with it.
That's right, he does.